What's up, y'all? It's TruthTiger, and I'm going to tell everybody today that no matter what you're going through, don't give up. I've had to go through a lot of crap in my life, be it health issues. I have celiac disease, asthma, Raynaud's disease. I get a lot of these stomach aches and stuff like that. I had to deal with getting my channel hacked. I almost lost my channel like that. I had to deal with identity theft. I've had to deal with a lot of haters and drama and stuff like that. And, I've just been through a lot of stuff. And I know that a lot of people watching this are going through things. They're going through issues with their family, going through issues at work, going through money issues, going through health issues, I've seen a lot of people around me going through health issues. I got a friend of mine where the doctors don't even know what's wrong with him, and he can't even move his arms or, legs right and stuff like that. And he's got a good attitude, but I'm seeing that. I'm hearing stories about people having to get these crazy surgeries and all this kind of stuff. Another co-worker of mine, he's got this issue. He's got a big dental issue that just came out of nowhere, and the insurance isn't covering him yet because he's new and stuff. And life will really throw all kinds of trials and tribulations. Car accidents, that's another one. A bad breakup of something you really thought would work out. And just struggling in life in general, struggling on the inside, struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety, struggling with addiction, struggling with addiction. We all have these struggles, and it seems like an impossible battle, and it seems like you can't win or get out. And it just seems like you can't get through it. But I'm telling you guys, don't give up. You have to get through it. You have to get past it. You do. And with these things, it could be society. It could be bad people around you. It could be bad luck, or it could be your own poor decisions, or a combination of all of them, And you just have to look at what the factors are and what you can do to change and what you can do to make things better and to take accountability for the things you can change and the things you can control. And if it's bad people, you got to get away from them and go to a different environment. If it's, your own problems, your own issues, you got to deal with your own deep, dark inner demons and slay them and move forward. And if it's just society itself, you got to find ways to deal with it. You have to find ways to get past these things and to get over these things, to forgive others, forgive yourself, whatever it is you got to do. But you have to find ways to get past it and to not stay frozen in time with these kind of things, because the devil throws these things at you to try to make you give up, to try to make you quit, to quit on yourself, to quit on your dreams, to quit on your goals, to quit on your ambitions. And I'm telling you, don't give up. God has a path in front of all of us, and God will bless all of us. But we have to get through this kind of season of turmoil, this season of turbulence, this season of troubles. I'm seeing a lot of people go through it. And, I'm dealing with some personal stuff myself too that's been, really bothering me and stuff. And, I know a lot of people are just going through the craziest kind of crap, and they're having to deal with situations. And I can tell you, in these situations, like, I used to be very alone. I used to really be a one-man army, and the people around me did not really support me, be it my family, be it so-called friends. A lot of them were fakers and haters, and some of them were just so caught up in their own problems and just so weighed down they couldn't really have the strength or the capability to support and help. But one big thing I'm really learning is to have a good support system, have good people around you, have people you can really talk to when you're really going through these dark situations, people who will understand, who will offer support, offer advice, and not like offer advice in a way where it's like, I'm going to tell you what to do, I'll get you out of this, just like do whatever I say so I can feel like a hero. People who will actually listen and who will actually try to really be helpful, because, I reached out to someone, and, this person, she responded and we talked, and, it was really good for me to realize that, like, I have support. I have people out there who care about me, who have my back, and I really didn't used to have that. And when you're going at it alone, it's like, in your own mind, you're going to make the situation worse than it is. In your own mind, you're going to be like, what's the point? And I mean, some people are going at it alone, and I've had to go through a lot of tough issues alone, and if you're going through it alone, still push forward. But try to seek a good support system and good people in your life, and even one good friend. That's all you need, is one good friend. That's really all you need. But try to find that one good friend if you can, and these situations will be a lot easier mentally and emotionally. You'll be able to get through them a lot easier. And, there's just a lot of difficulties and trials we're going to face in this life. But the thing is, when you can get through it, God will bless you. When you show that you're strong and you can deal with this stuff and you're not going to get crazy anxious or crazy depressed, or you're not going to feel like the sky is falling down, when you know there's a new day ahead of you, and when you know you have great things ahead of you, and when you know that this is just a momentary setback and you can keep moving forward, just like, you have to have that long-term mindset, And when it comes to personal issues like addictions or whatever, it's kind of the same deal. You have to really realize that you can get through this and that you can do better and that you can get to the best way, become the best version of yourself possible, and you can get past these things that are really holding you back, And it could just be a bad mentality, It could just be a very negative mentality, a doom and gloom mentality. It could just be a mentality that, nothing good ever happens to me. It could be low self-esteem. It could be like, I don't feel like I deserve to be successful. I don't deserve it, whatever it is. It could be a mental health struggle. Whatever it is, it's like, whatever you're fighting or battling with, you got to move forward with it. It could be fake shiesty friends that stab you in the back, and that people that you trusted that screwed you over. I've had to deal with that one a lot. And you just have to move forward. You have to assess the situation, realize what went wrong, realize what you could have done better, and then just stay close to God in prayer. Really seek out God, stay very close to Him. He will help you out, He will give you comfort, and, just like find things you can do to move forward. Because the more you're focusing on whatever it is you're dealing with, it's like the more you're so focused on that and so caught up on that and so locked in on that, it's like you have to just focus on what you can do to move forward. You're like, all right, what do I got to do? Buy some groceries. I have no food at the house. Just do that, rather than stressing about the situation. What can I do? Can I go to the gym? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I work on a project? And just find that sense of focus, because I really think when you're going through these struggles, it grounds you. It makes you realize what's important, and it's going to teach you a lesson. No matter what it is, no matter what your struggle is, it's going to teach you something. It could be a health issue you're going through, and you don't want to go to the doctors, you don't want to deal with it, you don't want to deal with how bad it is, you don't want to deal with the insurance, you don't want to deal with having to pay for it, you don't want to deal with some painful surgery, you don't want to miss work, you don't want to, whatever it is. And you have to just be like, okay, like, this is something I can get through. And you really have to have that mentality that you can get through it, and you can get past it, and you can get over it, and you can get your life back. And I really think it gives perspective, and it makes us grateful, and it makes us realize what we have and how fortunate we really are and how blessed we really are. And I really think with these struggles, it's like there's always a lesson in these struggles, And with these struggles, it's spiritual. It's the devil trying to get us, trying to attack us, trying to rob our house, trying to trip us up, trying to tempt us, trying to send bad people in our lives, trying to send negative stuff after us, whatever. But you can't when this stuff happens, you can't just give up. Because when you deal with some crap like this, there's two ways you can go about it. You can either double down on it and, whether it's bad people, bad friends, just be like, well, I'm just going to keep hanging out with them and hang out with more bad people and just let more negativity into my life. Or you can just say, hey, this is where I say no. This is where I put my foot down, and this is where I'm I'm going to move forward in a different way. Same with an addiction. It's you can be like, hey, I can double down on this and just stay trapped in this, or I can be like, no, now is the time. Now is the time. Same with financial struggles, I didn't talk about that enough, but I know a lot of people are going through money struggles, financial struggles. People are having a tough time out there, paying the rent, making the bills, all that stuff, And, you can have this, you can be like, okay, I can either just stay stuck, not move forward, not do anything to fix this, or you can be like, hey, it's time to fix this. It's time to really find ways to make this situation better. It's time to do some research, figure out what I got to do, and make this situation better. Same with health issues. And some health issues can just come up. There's not really anything you can really do about it, but you got to think with a health issue, is this going to rob me of my life? Is this going to rob me of my potential? Is this going to rob me of being happy? Is this going to rob me of doing the things I want to do? No, I'm not going to let this bring me down or keep me stuck. I'm going to move forward. Same with a mental health issue. It's like, are you going to stay stuck in the hole? Are you going to just like stay stuck in this depression, stay stuck in this anxiety, just be stuck down there forever? Or are you going to be like, all right, it's time to get out? And when you have these kind of situations, it's like you can't stay in the middle anymore. You're going to be like, all right, I can either fall deeper into this or I can move forward out of it and I can put it in the past, and that's what you got to do with these struggles, is just move forward past it. And, you can't be mentally caught up on it, emotionally caught up on it. Obviously, do the work you have to do in regards to whatever it is you're going through. Obviously, do the work, put in the work, take the steps, do whatever you got to do, obviously. But, you kind of just have to have this mentality where you're just like, I'm just going to work. I'm going to work. I'm going to grind. I'm going to move forward. And I'm just not going to really worry too much about this. I'm not going to trip too much about this. I'm not going to put this in my mind. And I'm just going to have more faith. I'm going to have more faith in God, more faith within my own capabilities. I'm going to have higher self-esteem. I'm going to like myself more. I'm going to really have more control over the things I think about and how I think about myself and how I go about situations. Again, everybody's got a different struggle they're going through, So I'm trying to keep this as broad as possible, but everybody's got some stuff they're going through, and if you choose to go deeper into it, you're choosing to give up, and this is where it's like you choose to get out or to go in, and I'm telling you guys, whatever it is you're going through, like, choose to get out, choose to get out, choose to move out of it. If you've got a toxic family you're in or a really toxic relationship and it's at that breaking point, choose to get out, choose to leave. If you've got some health issue you're dealing with, just like deal with it, do what you got to do, go through it, and don't have a thing in your head that you have this health issue and you're unhealthy and you can't do the things you want to do anymore. Just like move forward. Just keep moving forward no matter what. And that's what's going to make you great, is to choose to step forward no matter what. Because when you deal with these struggles, it's like this is the struggle and the battle you have to deal with before you can get to the next level. Before you can really get to the next level of your potential, of your life, move forward in life, add new things to your life, do better in life, move up, advance, you will be hit with struggles beforehand. And it's how you deal with these struggles that will affect your future. And if you lose faith and you lose heart and you're not able to keep a positive attitude and you just want to give up and you want to quit on yourself and just not even try, you really can't do that. You have to take courage, take strength, and no matter how hard it is or how bad it is, because people can go through some really hard things, some really bad things. I'm sure there's people going through some really tough things, and no matter what it is, you got to get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to make this situation better. Or for some situations like a health issue, it's like, I'm going to endure this. I'm going to endure this, and I'm not going to let this get to me or bring me down or get stuck on this. I'm just going to do the work I need to do to get better. Whatever that work may be, you're just going to do the work to get better. And that's just what you got to do. You have to just get over these things. Emotionally, mentally, you can't stay stuck in the shadow of it. You can't stay stuck in the shadow of that pain, because if you're constantly thinking about it and you can't get over it and you're just like, well, I'm just not going to achieve anything. I'm not going to be who I want to be. I'm not going to accomplish my goals. I'm not going to be a decent person. I'm not going to project love. I'm not going to build things. I'm not going to succeed. You won't. But if you say, hey, you know what? This happened, but I'm going to move forward. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to do better. I'm going to move to even better places, move to something even better, get myself to an even better place. And with the right mentality, when you go through a crisis and a struggle, it can build your faith and make you even stronger and even more faithful. But if you have this mentality where you're like, why is this happening to me? Why, God? Why me? Why do I have to struggle? Why do I have to go through this? How come this couldn't happen to someone else? Why do I have to deal with this? Why do I have to have this burden? I was like that a lot of the time, where I was angry and I was like, Why did my family have to be this way? Why do I have to deal with this? Why do I have to deal with that? This sucks. Why? And I used to have that mentality. And, I talked like that in some of my previous videos and stuff. But I'm really realizing now that I just got to move forward in love and truth and knowledge, move forward with God, and just not be in this mentality where I'm like, why did this happen? It's not fair. Why me? I don't deserve this. Oh. Whereas instead it's like, okay, I've got to do what I can to fix this problem, go through the steps, and just move forward, and stay faithful. And you'll find that it can actually make your faith even stronger, because when stuff like this happened in the past, I would lose faith and I would be like, why? It's not fair. Or why am I struggling? Why did I have to have something unfortunate happen to me? Why were all these people that I trusted fake? Why? And it's like, I realize there's a lesson for me to learn from it, and I just become even stronger. And I move forward in life, and, whatever the issue is, I put it in the past. I put it in the rearview mirror and drive forward. And I'm not a perfect person at all. I'm not going to say that. I have new issues ahead that I have to solve and I have to deal with, but I realized, I just got to push forward, press forward, not trip about it too much, and just use this as an opportunity for me to become even stronger, even more faithful, even closer to God. Because when you're in a crisis and a struggle, you could go further away from God and be angry and be, why did this happen? I hate you, God. Why can't you just be nice to me all the time? Why do you allow this to happen? Or you could be like, hey, I'm going through a struggle. I'm going through a crisis. I'm going to draw closer to my Creator. I'm going to stand closer to Him. I'm going to seek Him out even more. And just you just got to move forward. And in terms of the blame assigning, do that, but just move forward. Don't stay on the blame step. I've gotten caught up on the blame step too much, where I'm blaming society and I'm hating society. Society has problems, and I'll continue to talk about those problems. Blaming my family and my upbringing. That has problems, and I will talk about that and shed light on that. And the last one, blaming myself. And blaming and shaming myself. And I realized, if I'm just gonna be blaming these people so much and not forgiving them and being so mad at them, I'm also gonna blame myself. And I realize it's not healthy. Those people are who they are. I'm not gonna allow certain people in my life. There are certain people that I need out of my life and that I'm not going to hang around and stuff like that. But I'm not going to stay in this mentality of anger and stay in this mentality of I can't believe that happened. It's so bad. Why me? I'll never get over it. I'm going to get over it. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to learn the lesson, get past it, and not stay stuck on that blame step, because when you stay stuck on the blame step, it's just you just kind of stay frozen and stuck. And you also don't want to stay frozen or stuck in trauma, because a lot of this stuff, it's traumatic, it's painful, it hurts. A lot of this stuff, it really hurts, But if you stay in that hurt and stay in that pain, you're not going to get past it. So you got to kind of feel that pain and feel that hurt. And, I have a lot of hurts and traumas from childhood that will come up in a dream, or I'll think about it later or something. And I just got to be like, all right, I'm just going to get past this, figure out what happened, forgive as best I can, but forgive and set a boundary at the same time to, have the energy be right in my life and right with the people around me. And I'm just going to move forward. I'm going to step forward, because we all have great things to do ahead of us. You might not think it watching this video, but all of you watching this video, sorry, I'm going to scratch my nose for a bit, have great things ahead of you that you can do, whether you can see it or believe it or not. And if you're just going to stay stuck in blame and shame and stuck in the past and you can't get over it, you can't get past it, you're still hung up on it, it still haunts you, you're just going to stay stuck back there. But if you can start saying, what can I do to move forward? What can I do to make my life better? What can I do to draw closer to God? What can I do to bring peace into my heart? What can I do to just step forward? And you got to rest too. You can't grind too hard. You got to have a good strategy with how you go about it. And like I said earlier, if you have good supportive people you can really talk to, they're rare. It's not the norm, but there's a good amount of people out there who still have good hearts who you can talk to, who care, who aren't trying to snake you out or aren't just totally apathetic or narcissistic or weird. there are those people out there, and you want to try to find those people and become friends with them, because they will help you carry the burden. They'll encourage you. They'll be with you. And you might have more support out there than you think. It just might not be from maybe the places or the people that you'd expect. But there is support out there, and again, not the majority of people. And, if you're around people who are not supportive and like making the situation worse and stressing you out more, and, you do kind of need to be by yourself rather than be around them. But once you can get the negative, bad people out, like seek out good people, and, good people who you can talk to, who you can share each other's struggles with, who you can grow with, who you can be strong together in prayer with. And man, things will move forward so much better. And, there's so much better things in life. And whatever it is you're struggling with, just don't stay stuck on it and just move forward. So thank you all so much for watching. Much love. God bless. And I will see you all next time.